Hey, today I'm talking Alan Wake 2, which is launching in less than a month's time, and I got to play it. Now, I love the first game, so getting to play the sequel after all this time felt very nostalgic for me. I can't believe it's been 12 years since I last entered the mysterious town of Bright Falls. The embargo finally lifted, as you could probably tell, and I'm able to share, finally, some of my thoughts on the missions I got to play at Remedy's preview event, which they held a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Remedy for inviting me, by the way. And yes, the footage you're seeing is some of my gameplay on a work-in-progress build, which ran very smoothly, and I ran into exactly 0 issues. Now, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've already played the first and don't need much background on the world of Alan Wake. So, that being said, you'll be happy to know that this iteration still features a lot of the iconic core mechanics that made Alan Wake a standout back in the day. The use of light as both a weapon and a protection tool remains a staple, along with a heavy emphasis, of course, on exploration, puzzle solving, and fighting off shadowy foes. Keeping most of what folks loved about the original, but now with like an upgraded modern feel, an enticing and at times quirky storyline, and some very cool new characters, namely Saga Anderson, of course, as an FBI agent who you get to play as and is portrayed by Melanie Liburd, Alex Casey, who is modeled by the game's writer and creative director Sam Lake, Sean Ashmore as a sheriff named Tim Breaker, related to Sarah Breaker from the previous game maybe, and Agent Kieran Estevez, played by the lovely Janina Gavankar. Now, the 2 missions I got to play were distinctly different, namely because you play as 2 different characters. You'll notice that a lot of the game plays with this idea of duality, much like the first game, light versus dark, reality versus fantasy, you get the idea. The first mission I played was called The Local Girl, and I played as Saga. Now, I will say that when I first started playing it, it did take me a while to get associated with the space. Like, it required a lot of reading, which, you know, wasn't that surprising, because the thing to keep in mind with any Alan Wake game is that everything you read is important and key to solving a lot of the puzzles and understanding what's going on. Basically, you're always going to have to look for clues, because if you miss one, not only might you miss out on some cool Easter eggs or story elements, you might also find it very challenging to find your way. Now, a new addition to the game that works wonderfully in tandem with a lot of the game's themes and gameplay is this physical rendition of the protagonist's mind that allows the player to sift through all the collected clues throughout the game, which I referred to quite a bit during my playthrough. When you play as Saga, it's known as the Mind Place, and when you play as Alan, you enter what is known as, quite fittingly, the writer's room. Speaking of playing as Alan, the last mission I played was an Alan Wake mission known as Room 665. Here, you progress through what is known as the Dark Place, and Alan is trying to escape this alternate reality of hell. I really appreciated what this change of environment was trying to do here. It is a sequel after all, and you know, it could stand to expand on what we know of the franchise. So even though you're walking through a city, it still felt heavily Alan Wakey, with the dense fog and darkness that was heavily featured throughout. Here, I certainly struggled a bit with the combat and died quite a few times before I could figure out the best approach, which I liked because it allowed me to plan out my next moves and problem solve. I was lacking ammo and weapons here, which is something I experienced in the first mission a bunch, so expect quite a bit of scarcity of essential supplies throughout the entire game. It is a survival game, and that's what Alan Wake is all about. None of it affected the playability or my enjoyment of the game, and I still progressed through at a very good pace that I felt worked. Now, from a visual standpoint, this game is gorgeous and felt akin to the graphics that we saw in Control, Remedy's other more recent titles. The world felt real and foreboding, and I immediately was immersed upon arrival. The overcast sky, the swirling fog, small town vibes felt very original Alan Wake, which I loved. The first enemy I ran into was one of the shadowy figures, of course, and now somehow with these new graphics, they seem so much more terrifying. I mean, they put me in the abandoned theme park known as Coffee World, and that was eerie enough. And yes, coffee still holds a very special significance in my life and in Alan Wake, you can rest assured. So, final thoughts. What I gather from everything I played and saw at the preview event is that Alan Wake 2 is trying to continue to innovate and take really big risks with storytelling, bringing in elements of, gameplay and narrative design that we saw in some of their other successful titles. namely Control and Quantum Break, and even better, making it all this wonderfully vibrant shared universe that I can't wait to dive deeper into once the game releases. Now, the big feedback on the first game was that the combat felt repetitive, and I only got to play roughly 2 hours of the game, so whether that's changed has yet to be seen. But what I can say that with my playthrough, every moment felt fresh and exciting and had me wanting to keep playing, so no complaints there from me. All in all, I really enjoyed playing this game and know it will likely consume my life come release time. Let me know what you guys thought of my impressions and what you thought of this type of video. It's kind of a new thing on my channel, so let me know if I should make more of these. And also if you're excited to play Alan Wake 2. As always, I will see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching. Bye!